Welcome back to the Fanspeak Network. I'm your host, Spread Astaire. Usually I'm with Tyler, but today I have the opportunity to be joined by Andrew. And of course, if you listen here on Fanspeak, he's every Thursday night with Justin. They do a fun pod. They have a fun job roasting each other. And that's usually for the Best Ball Mania 5. But today we are going to dive into the weekly winners. We'll hit the open and we'll go straight to you, Andrew. All right, Andrew, how you feeling? I remember to do the intro, so I'm pretty happy about that. And we're going to dive in. Of course, you know me, I'm better at DK than Underdog, so I'm always willing to learn through your guys' wisdom. But today we're going to go for the weekly winners format. And one of the main reasons I wanted to do that is I wasn't sure how to adjust my strategy from Best Ball Mania over to weekly winners. What are some key things that you focus on, or the differences you think when you're building a weekly winners team rather than a Best Ball Mania team?
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple schools of thought. First and foremost, I like to draft for upside. I mean, you've played DFS. A lot of people have played DFS. On a week-to-week basis, you got to score the most points to win the cash, right? So I look for just straight up upside in players that maybe I would want a little bit more consistency from in BBM. But for weekly winners, the upside is where all the cash is made at the top. So I'm definitely looking for upside for guys that can have huge spike weeks. For example, like Tyreek Hill, probably he's already towards the top, but that's somebody that first comes to mind, right? Like somebody that can burn you for 3 touchdowns in a week, right? Like that's somebody that you really want to be focused on. Same thing with if you want to go later in the draft, somebody who's kind of a small burner, but on a team that he's definitely a wide receiver 2 on, like Rashid Shaheed. I like him for best ball, but for these weekly winners, that's somebody that, again, like we saw last week or last year, he had a few really good spike weeks that you can really use in these weekly winners. So first and foremost, upside for sure. Then you get into strategy. I mean, you can kind of take it a couple different ways. One, I've seen people talk a lot about just taking 1 week out of the equation for yourself. So essentially drafting a lot of guys on the same bye week. That way, all right, I got a ton of guys on week 12. That week, probably not going to win anything. But the remainder of the season, I'm going to have a majority of my guys playing. That'll kind of give me a leg up on the competition. You can also take the approach of just trying to get not a lot of people on the same buys. That way you're kind of in it the entirety of it instead of, taking 1 week completely out. And then, you have the people who like to take, maybe 2 weeks and just draft a majority of the players within 2 weeks and kind of do that. So the cool thing about this is we've only had it for 1 year. There's really no true strategy or true data that we can look at and say, all right, we've had 5 years of this. This is what's working. This is what isn't, which is kind of why I like still doing these, because it is neat not having a ton of people be able to tell you that you are right or you are wrong on the way you want to, go about your business. Another thing is, obviously, I want to look at teams that I know can put up a ton of points in a week. For example, the Dolphins have put up 69 points or whatever 1 week last year. If you had a majority of those guys that, the Mostert, the Achane, the Hill, like the guys that went off that week, you probably made some cash in, for that week. So I like to go, kind of look at it that way. In BBM, I mean, we look at it that way, but at the same time, you don't mind taking players because it's a very long season and you're looking for, cumulative points. Weekly winners is just week to week basis. Every week you're starting fresh at 0. So I want to look at, the Chiefs, the Bengals, the Bills, the Dolphins. The Falcons are probably one that people really like this year as well, that they think that they can put up some points. So, without getting too into the weeds, you really just want to look at upside, want to look at how many players you want on a certain week, kind of commit to. I want to either take a lot of people on the same bye week or kind of spread it out a little bit, and then look for upside within teams that you can also stack and kind of get those, those maximum points. So what are your thoughts after everything I just said there? When you look at this, like, what is your initial thought on how you kind of want to play this out?
Yeah, I like the idea of getting all the bye weeks at the same time and just giving up on week 12 or week 14. Those seem to be my favorite ideas here as we kind of learn. Boy, I took away a bunch of things from what you said. First of all, like, you said we've only done this for 1 year. Even on the Best Ball Mania, I feel like the sample size is so small. Even the 4 seasons. I think that sometimes people are looking a little bit into too much to what happened. And each one of these, it's like for the NFL season, it's like we've only played, it's only 4 weeks. We wouldn't take a bunch of judgments away. So I feel that way. The other thing I'm excited about, Andrew, is not having to worry about some week 17 correlation because I feel like when I'm making my teams, I'm using that as the tiebreaker a lot, right? So there's 2 players I really like and I want exposure to. Well, let's see who I already have. And I end up getting similar teams because I'm correlating. So I'm kind of excited to take away some of that week 17 correlation and not have to worry about the dome teams as much, because I feel like when I'm doing my Best Ball Mania teams, I am aware that, hey, some of these teams play in some pretty cold weather here in the playoffs, right? And to not have to worry about that, to where, hey, we could win this thing in week 3, we can win this thing in week 5, not have to worry about it, because I've been stacking Cincinnati a lot lately, and that's one of my concerns there. Baltimore stacks as well, with we know how that weather can get in December. So I'm really excited about that, and we'll dive right in. And of course, I hate to be reductive, but at the end of the day, I think it just comes down to just some player takes. You got to nail these player takes. You got to hit these late round guys, because I think we all can agree that, hey, Amon-Ra, Jamar Chase, I mean, those are great picks, right? I think the first round's pretty easy to do. I think even our casuals that don't play fantasy football can draft in the first round. It feels like these contests are really won from round 8, round 10 on, and kind of nailing some player takes. So I'm excited to dive in with you today. And the other thing I'm excited about is I need some pushback on my player takes, Andrew, because I feel like I've kind of been drafting the same team a lot, right? I have my late round darlings that I love, and I'm a little worried that I'm getting too much exposure there, and I need to balance myself out a little bit. So hopefully you can point me in the path of the right direction for some other sleepers here, so I can lower my Kendre Miller and my Darnell Mooney exposure a little bit.
Yeah, another just really quick thoughts as well is I saw people talking about week 12 and week 14 have a ton of buys. You can kind of optimize for those weeks as well. So if you want to draft teams that are kind of targeting to do really well those weeks, that's also another strategy. Yeah. And also, people always say draft like you're right. I feel like this is also a contest to do that in. Like, I think that if you want to use 1 QB potentially instead of drafting 2, I'm fine with that. If you're going to get an elite guy, a Hurts, a Mahomes, an Allen, even a Burrow, like something like that, I'm fine with doing that within this strategy, because you can't take 2 QB points. So how many times are you really going to go above and beyond an elite QB and use a second QB in this format? I don't really think that that's optimizing for the top most potential. You really need to draft like you're right. So I also don't mind just taking 1 QB in these formats as well.
Yeah, and that makes sense. And we're going to draft a team here real soon, right? And same thing I would think applies to tight end, right? If we grab a Laporta, a McBride, a Kincaid, maybe we don't need to add in a Jonnu Smith or a Jawan Johnson towards the end and take a shot at an upside guy, especially if it correlates. So any other general thoughts, general strategy recommendations you have, or do we want to dive right into this draft and just kind of, how do they say, learn on the go, some kinetic learning, just get out there and, experience is the best teacher.
Yeah, definitely. No, I think let's just pop right into one and, learn as you go, as we say. So here, let me see if I can get us into one here. Oh goodness. It's going to do that thing that it was doing to Meg the other night.
Is it doing the location thing?
Yeah, hold on. For some reason,
I've having so many issues with that lately.
I'm going to reload it and see here. It's so weird. Like, I've never had that issue. And then I saw a few people have the issue. Meg was having the issue. And now all of a sudden I have the issue.
And I was watching Meg and I'm like, Meg, this isn't that hard. And now I'm the same person, right? So that's what I get for for thinking that. And the thing that frustrates me is I know it's all turned on because DraftKings works fine.
Yeah,
So
it makes no sense at all, but it is what it is. I did see, and I think the quick way to fix it is just reload the page. I've done that a couple times now, and it fixes it pretty quick. So if anyone else out there is having those issues, either close out the tab, open it up again, or just reload it and see if that works. Because obviously it just worked right now.
All right. I can't see how many people we're waiting for, but it looks like
We are
we're
waiting on
pretty
2. It's right here.
to full. So for the first round, we talked about Tyreek Hill. Is there any other players that you're moving up or down in this format that maybe you want to target or avoid because it's a different format?
I would say, I mean, the first round is it's kind of normal. I mean, obviously, like I love McCaffrey, Lamb, Hill, Chase, Jefferson. Like I think those guys have the highest ceilings out of anybody else. After that, I'm pretty open depending on how we want to, try to put our team together. Any thoughts initially on what you want to do as far as like bye weeks are concerned? Do you want to kind of target week 12 and 14 and just say we're not going to do anything that week? Do you want to kind of spread it around?
Well, let's see where we land, right? And then I think we can decide as it goes on, because for me, and I don't know how it is for you, usually I don't really know how my build goes until I have my first pick or two under there, right? Because, for example, if I start with an Amon-Ra Olave start, okay, now I don't have to target quarterback till round 10 because I'm going to go for Derek Carr and Jared Goff. Some of these other players, right? And AJ Brown, I want to get that quarterback pretty soon. So let's see how it goes there. Overall, I'm thinking I like Amon-Ra a little more than Jefferson in best ball. I might flip that though. Don't you feel like Jefferson has a little more spike potential than Amon-Ra?
He does, yes. The only issue there for me is what's the quarterback situation look like? Is it JJ McCarthy? Is it Sam Darnold? How long do we get Darnold for? If it's not, it's a weird situation. I mean, he should be peppered with targets, but what's the quality of the target going to be? So I do think he obviously outperforms, Amon-Ra as far as targets are concerned. I mean, last year, Amon-Ra had, let's see, was that 103? No, that can't be right. That's weird. Look at these. You see the stats right here?
I can't see that well on my screen. Here, let me see.
Let me see if I can zoom in
I
a
don't
little
get
bit.
the comments. Wait, hold on. Can I get this chat back? No, if I go full screen, I can't see comments. But I can see you now if you want to click on it, and I'll go back to the
Here, let me
chat.
see. Can I get us? Can I get us a little bigger here? And can I drag us?
I've been having some fun lately with the 0 RB builds, and just loading up on all the second stringers, and it feels like that's going to be a boomer bust. Because if nobody gets hurt or I choose the wrong guys, I'm sitting there with a bunch of second stringers. You're going to get 8 touches a game. We'll see how that one goes. I think on this one, I don't want to go 0 RB though, right? Because it feels like if you go 0 RB, you're getting all those backups where you're hoping, maybe Blake Corum takes over by week 4, maybe Kendra Miller takes over by week 6, but you're kind of giving up on the first 4 or 5 weeks, right?
Yeah. I think you don't really want to go that heavy on the 0 RB. I mean, I think it can work. Obviously, you just got to get a little lucky. I'd rather leave that to the BBM streets. In this, you're trying to maximize points every single week. Doesn't matter what you're doing season long, just week to week. So I agree with that. Got Tyler.
So this will be
Meg
fun because I've been ignoring these top running backs, and now I get to target them. Obviously, if I fall to Bijan, I'm sitting at 8. I like Robinson a lot. I think he's got a chance to have a McCaffrey-like breakout. He just has so many skills, and the fact that he can catch out of the backfield, I really think that he has the potential to end up being the number 1 pick next year, because that's kind of what we're trying to guess, right? Which one of these first rounders is going to be number 1 overall last year, right? As Jefferson was, number 1 last season. Now he's sitting at number 6. McCaffrey, I believe, was number 4 last season. Ends up being the top player in fantasy.
Yeah.
How do you like getting McCaffrey? Because obviously it's great to have him, but boy, it sucks waiting around till pick 24 or 25 to go again.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, when I get McCaffrey, I'm not doing a whole lot of robust, RB stuff. I'm kind of taking the hero RB approach. I don't want to take too many of them because you're really just leaning into McCaffrey, right? So I don't mind getting McCaffrey. I can make the teams work. Obviously, the more and more you get of the player, the more and more kind of different builds you can do. So I do like, getting as much of one player and just kind of making my builds look a little different. So I'm fine with it. My preferred drafting spots are first 3, last 3, but you kind of make do with what you can get. And unfortunately, I've had a lot of 6s and 7s this year as well, so I have some different builds based out of there. But yeah, man, I mean, how are you going to go against McCaffrey, right? I mean, he does everything for that offense.
When I'm 6'7", I go ADP hunting at that point. That's when I go, okay, no reaching here, because I feel like the ADPs are pretty much determined by the guys 1 through 3 and 10 through 12, because that's where you're going to end up reaching. Because you're going, it's not, it's not a good ADP value, but I'm not going to have a chance, right? He's not coming back around if I have to wait for 20 more picks. So I feel like those people are the ones that are actually setting people moving up and down on the ADPs. As they continue to reach for guys like Dontavian Wicks, Blake Corum's a guy who's gone up about 2 rounds, I think, since we started doing this. And as we see people reach for those guys, then their ADPs skyrocket through here. So, and these take a little longer to fill, right? On the Best Ball Manias, it feels like it fills up, you're waiting for a minute. So we'll see here.
Yeah,
but
so we're waiting on one person.
Streets.
Oh, there we go.
All right. Yeah, let's see. And of course, if anyone jumps in with us, we'll talk about your team at the end. But of course, Andrew, as person, I didn't play any weekly winners last year. So as the person with the experience, Andrew will be doing more of the judging. So where did we end up here?
So we are sitting at the 6th spot, right in the middle, smack dab.
The one that you said you didn't like. So maybe we do a little ADP hunting here.
Thanks. Yeah, we got Team Ramrod. He's friend of the program in the 2 spot. King of QC. He was the silent assassin in one of our drafts. We didn't realize he was in, but now he jumps in a bunch. So shout out to him.
Okay, great.
Outside of that, I don't see anybody else I really know. Do you know any of these other? Sack Dance? That's a pretty funny name.
No, but I don't follow along as closely as you guys do. That's another video that I was thinking that I was going to try and maybe recruit you guys for, is just how do you read the board? We'll do a show and we'll go through the draft and just say like, okay, here's what I'm seeing. What I'm looking for is first thing I look for is people correlating or not. Because you get some managed league guys and you could just tell. I mean, they have round 8 and nothing's matched up at all. Okay, well, he's just going to take the best available player or his guys. So I want to see how many people are correlating. And then the other thing that's throwing me off is the quarterback and tight end runs. I think that varies most to most. Sometimes these tight ends just fall, and I'm like, boy, why did it take Laporta in round 3? I could have got Kincaid here in round 6 or something. But those are the 2 things I'm looking for. But I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on just how you're reading your room and analyzing the draft board.
Yep. So we're on the clock now. Amonra, JJ, do you just want to do JJ?
Yeah, I'm down. Kind of going off my earlier thing that I think that he's going to have a lot of targets. And I know you're worried about the quarterbacks, but I feel that last season, who was it out there with him? Nick Mullins. And he still put up pretty good numbers. To me, that makes me think that he's like Devontae Adams and he's essentially quarterback proof. And that these are professional quarterbacks. These aren't college level quarterbacks. And any of them, if you give them time and a guy's open, they can make that throw. So here's hoping that he's quarterback proof or that JJ McCarthy ends up better than expected. And to be fair, I think Darnold can get you points. I just think from a betting perspective, he throws too many interceptions for me to want to back him. But that's not really going to affect our Jefferson share. Now, because of that format, if one of these running backs is here in round 2, is that the way that you would look?
Potentially. I mean, it really just going to depend on who falls here. Like, if Puka makes it back, I would like to take that. I don't think that's a possible,
I don't think that is either.
realistically, but
Yeah.
that would be cool. Or Harrison as well. I think he's going to get pepper over targets. But if not, then yeah, one of these running backs is interesting as well. Like Achan, Barkley, Gibbs. How do you feel about Taylor? You like him or?
I've been out on him lately only because I think he's going too high. I mean, I can get Travis Etienne a couple rounds later, and I feel they could be pretty close. It's tough. If Richardson stays healthy, I don't know how much I'll like Taylor. If he doesn't, and we're on the backup again, then Taylor's going to have, we talked about guys that could be number one. I mean, he could be number one overall too.
Yeah.
It's Flacco, the backup there now, right?
Yeah, I believe so.
If Flacco, if AR gets hurt again and we get a lot of Flacco, I think that Taylor could lead the league in attempts. So that's where I am. But I probably do need more Taylor exposure. I've been having so much fun with the 0 RB. It's just like if you get those five wide receivers early, it just feels like stress-free at that point, and I can just pick all my favorite players from then on. So,
Gotcha.
all right, we are Barkley
back
available.
up. So yeah, Barkley, Henry. I mean, I'm fine taking Barkley. That's an ADP fall right there, 15 or 5 spots. If you want to do that,
let's go for Barkley. I like him a lot too. We saw
different
him
bye weeks as well.
Okay, great.
And we are staying away from the week 12, 14 right now. We got Barkley on 5, JJ on 6.
Great. And one thing I think for Barkley that's being underrated is how much production he had behind one of the worst offensive lines in the league. And even, with Kelsey retiring, I think that Philly line is still one of the top 5 in the league. And I wonder how much better he's going to look in that format. He's another one that has the potential, could be doing this next year, and he's top of the board. Especially if they decide, hey, 2 seasons in a row, we've gone into the stretch run with Jalen banged up a little. Let's dial back on him. Let's rely on our running back a little more. And if that's the case, Barkley's going to be a first rounder next year.
Yeah, I mean, you don't bring in Saquon Barkley to then still have Jalen Hurts run everything at the goal line. I mean, he's just a different animal than what they've had. Plus, I really do believe that Jason Kelsey made the tush push what it was. I mean, what he was able to do, very athletic. I'm not sure they're going to have that same push, no pun intended, right? I'm not sure that they're going to be able to do it as well as they did. So why not just hand it off to Barkley and let him, do what he's always done and be good around the goal line. So I think he could be in for a very big year. We are next on the clock. Any thoughts here? We got Laporta, Waddle, Kelsey. I mean, Hurts is there if we want to just try to get all the all the rushing touchdowns for Philly.
I think since we make the bet on Saquon already, we stay away from Hurts.
Yep.
I like Jalen Waddle a lot here, but if you want to go with one of these other guys, I'm fine with it.
I mean, Laporta fell 6 spots if we want to take that route. I also don't mind waiting on tight end. I don't mind Waddle, Cup, or DK as well. Those are my favorite wide receivers here.
All right, you go ahead, just choose because we got 5 seconds.
All right, let's take Waddle. I don't mind doing that there.
Okay, cool. I don't have a lot of Waddle right now, and I wanted to get more, but it seems like he's getting picked right before I draft every single time. So now we're 11 picks away, and I would just want to point out I'm in complete agreement with you on the Hurts and the brotherly shove deal. And it's almost why, this is more of a betting thing, but the idea that running backs don't matter because the offensive line has so much to do with how many yards per carry you get. If you don't get touched till 3 yards past the line of scrimmage, you're going to be a great running back. If you're constantly getting hit in the backfield, it doesn't matter if you are Saquon Barkley. It can be tough. So just going off that same theory, I do think the offensive line had more to do with it than the actual quarterback. Because you look at guys like Josh Allen or other big guys, they didn't have the same success doing it. So I love, I don't know how much my content you watch, but I love to point out that Hurts can squat so much. However, I think that it's the offensive line and not the impressive squat that's really getting there.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I fully agree upon that. So, yeah, man, I have been making some big bets on Barkley to perform well this year. So, we'll see if that doesn't come to fruition. I might be in trouble because I have a decent exposure to Barkley right now.
Yeah, and that's where this gets tough, because you got to really, to have a winning team, it's like hitting like a 7 or 8 team parlay, because you got to be right about all these things. Around round 10, now you have the opportunity to miss a pick. If your round 11 guy duds out or is injured all year, you're fine. But you really got to nail your top 5 picks and then come in with some sleepers there at the end. So
yeah,
you got to take a risk.
Yeah, my co-host Bruni checking in, said
All
fire
right.
up chat, and King of Quebec pounding everyone again. Yeah, King of QC had a really nice draft with us. I don't know if it was last draft or 2 drafts ago. I think it was last draft. He drafted
you gave him the highest
solid
score, I believe.
Yeah, he drafted a
8.
pretty solid squad.
Yeah.
So got to be on the lookout for this guy. He just took DK, who I'm a big fan of, as well.
I love Seattle this year. When I'm looking for upside, I'm thinking, okay, you went from a run-oriented head coach to this new guy who's completely pass-oriented, was able to work 3 receivers in at the University of Washington.
We're up really quick. I don't want to interrupt you here, but are you cool with taking Cooper Kupp? I mean, he's 10 picks past. I love that ADP value.
I love Cooper Kupp.
Yeah. All right, let's just do that.
What do you think
of
Pittman?
So I'm kind of a little scary or scared to take Pittman a lot. I worry about 2 things. One, we saw it with how many quarterbacks that rushed the ball around the goal line. We saw it with Anthony Richardson last year when he was healthy. They ran him around the goal line. I worry that Pittman's touchdown upside is a little bulked down, just due to that fact. Plus, they have Jonathan Taylor. I mean, they have 2 guys who can run the ball around the goal line, and they don't have to use Pittman a whole lot. So unless he's getting a ton of touchdowns outside of like the 10, 15-yard line, which is still possible for him, I kind of don't want to take him a whole lot. Now, the thing he does have working for him is he's probably going to still see a lot of targets. I just want to know what the quality of target's going to be and how many of those are going to be within, the red zone. So I kind of have him in my personal rankings fallen slightly, but I mean, overall, he's still going to get targets. I do worry a little bit. I liked him a lot more last year when we knew that, after the fact in like the week to week stuff that you could do battle royales. I liked him with Gardner as opposed to with Anthony Richardson. So it's yet to be seen, but I'm down on him slightly.
I'm the same way. He's actually someone I think that would benefit from an AR injury. And I'll go ahead and give that breakdown, but let's talk about our upcoming pick. We're 3 away. This is where the board gets interesting.
So again, we have Barkley.
Remember I talked about that in that draft?
Yeah. So it's interesting. Like, it sucks that we can't really pair a ton with Mahomes, but Mahomes is such an interesting pick here. I mean, pick 38, this is kind of like what I was talking about. Draft like you're right. If you take a Mahomes and then we get, a Rice or a Worthy or something, that's interesting. So Mahomes, we could take Anthony Richardson and just hope for a ton of rushing touchdowns and just fade the Pittman and fade the Taylor side of that. If not, we have, Barkley, JJ, Waddle, Kupp. So we could take Tua later. We could take Matt Stafford later. Obviously, we have some interesting picks here. So what are your thoughts here? Anything real quick?
Let's choose a quarterback. Give me one of Mahomes or Richardson. I'm fine with it.
You just want to take Richardson and just because of the running?
Sure.
Why did it just take Tua? I was clicking the pick.
No way.
Sure did. I was literally clicking it.
Oh, no. Okay. Well,
that's bold.
Oh, that sucks. One thing I was going to say, why I said that we could take either. I believe with those guys, I'm fine having both. And I'm sure was it you or Justin making the jokes? I'm still learning your voices. But both players are fine that I'm taking quote unquote naked, right? The first reason for Mahomes, I think he can spread the ball all around. Right. So I'm not, if I don't have the Hollywood or the Xavier Worthy, because I think, although in this format, it might be better, it could be a pretty well spread out offense this year for Patrick. And for Richardson, I believe you're getting all rushing, which is why also I'll take a late flyer on Justin Fields, because even if I don't have any correlation, I think that if he gets there for me, it's going to be a lot of rushing. So those are two players that I'm fine kind of taking on their own. So, boy, I was loving our start too.
Yeah, that's interesting. I should have just queued him up, I guess, but I opened him up and I was clicking it and it just nothing.
Yeah.
Good old. I have been having interwebs issued, called nice Comcast, and they're like, no, your modem looks fine, everything looks great on your thing. I'm like, cool. It sure isn't. They lie.
Yeah. Well, oh yeah, I did. I watched the episode where you kept dropping out too.
Yeah. They're like, yeah, it looks fine, everything looks good. Yeah. We did a health check. They called it a health check on your modem. Nah.
Yeah. So, well, if 2 is the MVP, right, we're gonna look like geniuses. And I actually don't think that's too far out of that. And as Andrew says that, I think that he's frozen up here. Yeah, because this is stuck at 27. Boy, hopefully he can get this pick in. So I could continue to talk about some of my thoughts until Andrew comes back here. Looking at the board, I think this is an interesting range. And I think that one of my weaknesses as a best ball or fantasy player is judging the player and not the usage. So, for example, Joe Mixon is a guy that I'm not too high on as the player. I think that he's lost a step. I don't think he's nearly as good as he used to be. But with the fact that he's going to get so much usage, it's really tough to do that. All right, looks like I'm back to, let's see, I'll pull myself full screen here till we get Andrew back. I see Justin in the chat, Fantasy Football Garage, and Meg. And boy, I'll be interested to see where our team's at when we get back. Maybe I should have been the one drafting here, and Andrew is back. All right. Did we get auto drafted?
No, I did take the Mixon pick. I didn't know what you wanted to do. Obviously, I couldn't hear you anymore.
So one of my things about Mixon is I'm actually not too high on him as a player, but because the usage is so high, I think that he's going to end up having a pretty good year. Let's see. We're up in 3, and then I want to talk to you about Houston overall. This is a way different build than what I'm doing because we already have 2 running backs, which is so crazy for me because I've been all in on the 0 RB builds. I think that's the one fun thing. A lot of people say, don't draft early. Well, the one thing I've done is I've gone through my teams and I've looked, okay, which teams am I happy with after 18 rounds, right? And as uncomfortable as those heavy wide receiver starts are, I feels like I'm happiest with my team there towards the end. So this is going to be different for us here. We do have 3 wide receivers, so we're not dead. We are getting pretty close to being out of that elite tight end range.
Yeah, I was going to say,
who are you thinking about here?
I was just going to suggest taking one of the tight ends, but they both just went. Oh man, so probably a wide receiver. Addison, McConkey, Watson, Godwin, Brian Thomas. Any of those guys tickle your fancy? 7 seconds.
I like Addison.
Like McConkey. Oh, you like Addison?
Well, we already have Jefferson, so no. So yeah, no Addison.
Aaron Jones, it is.
Oh my gosh. Oh, this is going to be different.
All right, so that's actually not bad because we have Barkley. I mean, we have a JJ, so that's 2 Minnesota guys there as well. Now, if you look,
and that's why we shouldn't have taken Addison.
Yeah,
right? Do you like 2 receivers? I don't mind, but I can't take them that early.
I don't mind either. It is weird to take him that early, but I mean, we kind of would have if we would have did that. I would have wanted to try to take JJ McCarthy then. Doing that this way, I still don't need to take him with 2 guys from the same team, but not 2 wide receivers. The nice thing is, I don't know if you noticed, we have Tua on by 6, Aaron Jones by 6, JJ by 6, Waddle by 6, Cooper Kupp by 6. So we're really leaning into just having 1 bye. So let's keep that in mind a little bit here. I'm actually going to back off the board a little bit.
Okay.
There we go. All right. So if we let's see here. So we're probably going to want to go wide receiver. Coming back, what are we up? We're up in 8 picks.
Yeah.
We have, for me personally, when we look at this here, the buy is going to like how I want to stop taking wide receivers or where I don't like it is where the Rashee Rice section is here. So all these guys up here, the McConkey, the Dunze, JMO, JSN, I'm fine taking all those guys. It's once we get down here, the Rice, Sutton, Williams, like I don't love this crowd so much. And then it gets a little better for me moving down. So I'd like to take one of these guys up here personally.
And I think on the weekly winners format, I'm a little more interested in Rice than I am for the season long.
Yes, definitely. Because yeah, I mean, it doesn't really matter. So yeah, 100%. Also, depending on what we want to do here, do you like Corum by any chance?
Yes.
Okay, I also do. Plays. When he's coming up, I actually don't mind if we want to try to do a stack of the Rams, taking Corum. We have Cup. I don't mind doing that either. I don't know like what second quarterback you want to look at. We have Tua. Yeah, I mean second quarterback's up in the area, but so there's a Dunze, JSN, Rice. Who's your favorite there?
JSN.
Okay, I also like JSN as well. We have nobody from Seattle yet. He's by week 10. Yeah,
well, I like JSN right now, just in case.
I'm gonna just get it ahead of time. Get it ahead of time.
So Dunze is a fun player. I love his physical traits. I remember watching him in Washington and telling my buddy, if he's got the athleticism, the way he tracks the ball and the way he runs his routes, he's going to be a stud. I have two concerns for him. Number one, coming into a number 3 slot instead of a number 1 spot. Right where like Dunze to me is 10 times better than Ladd McConkey. But McConkey should have a lot more opportunities. Second, you know what I'm using as a tiebreaker, Andrew, is do you have a rookie quarterback thrown to you? Because traditionally, if you go back and look, players with rookie quarterbacks have not been huge in fantasy. And for the weekly winners, I think it's a little better. But the problem is you just have those weeks where the quarterback is just stifled. You know, he's getting some new look that he's never seen before, struggling through interceptions, things like that. So that's another tiebreaker for me is do they have a rookie quarterback, right? If it's a guy where I'm about the same. Dunze and JSN, I'm kind of about the same with those players. My tiebreaker is that I'm going to get veterans, even if it's Sam Howell, a lot more football experience than Caleb Williams. And I'll be honest, I think Caleb Williams is going to be a very good player. I think he's going to have a rough rookie year. He held onto the ball a lot at USC. He was used to playing with more talented players. Now he gets into the more equal NFL. I think he's going to be great overall. Might not be the best rookie year, a la Peyton Manning or some of these other greats. So we're about to be up.
Yeah, we're up here. Rice is still there. I know. I agree with you. I like him better in this scenario than the season long. Your boy, though, Brock Bowers is sitting there. He's an interesting weekly winner guy, too. So up to you if you want to keep pounding the Brock pavement or if you want to take a Rice here.
I'm down for Brock.
Oh, you want to take a Brock? All right, let's do it. Yeah. This is now, like maybe my second or third share of Brock.
Okay, let me tell you one of the reasons I'm down for Brock. Okay, what pick did we just get him at? 102, right?
102, yep.
Last year, and where was Ladd McConkey going? 60, 70?
Yeah, he went back in this range.
Yeah, let's just say it was like 63, right? Why are you drafting a guy higher when the Georgia offensive coordinator who worked with him every day constantly gave the ball to Brock?
Yeah, McConkey went 88.
All their big plays, go back and watch. If they needed third down, it's going to Bowers, right? He was by far the number 1 option over there, and I'm getting him 40 picks later, and I have a guy who I can say, hey, this guy knows these players pretty well, thinks that Bowers is a lot more talented and has the ability to get those first downs. And I just I read another one, you know, if Brock Bowers is really the guy that he's supposed to be, right? Best tight end prospect since Kellen Winslow Jr., do we want to be sitting on the sidelines when he's just going off and becoming the new Travis Kelce? And what was our opportunity cost? It was a 10th round pick. I mean, if Laporta duds out, our team's dead. I still feel like, let's just say I'm absolutely wrong and he duds out. I still think this team's live, especially in this format.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree with you. I mean, I prefer Brock in this sort of scenario as opposed to the BBMs. I guess that the problem I always have is I love stacking. Brock's not a guy I want to stack anything with until I learn who the quarterback's going to be. Is it Gardner? Is it AOC? Because then I'll be more interested in taking him and taking the stack partner as opposed to just guessing which one is now. If I take a bunch of Gardner and it's AOC all year long, I drafted a completely dead roster spot. I don't want to do that with my money, so I prefer to not take him right now. I'll take him sometimes by himself.
And I would think that's why you're getting the value on Brock. How many people are thinking that way? And we talked about reading the room earlier. I've been in rooms before where you watch and everybody's correlating, right? And you can almost say like, okay, I already know this quarterback's going to be available because, like if I'm trying to get Geno Smith, if the guy has no Seahawks, and the whole room is correlating, it's the same way. So I think with everybody correlating so much, I think that's why I think if we knew who the quarterback was, Brock might be going around higher. Okay, so we're up in 2. We're at what? 1, 3, 4, 1.
1, 3, 4, 1. Yep.
Feeling pretty good now. Best ball rules say we have to take a wide receiver, but I'm down to break them if you are.
So, yeah, it doesn't really matter to me. I mean, we have Goddard, Schultz, and Hawkinson coming up tight end wise. I like Goddard and Hawkinson there because Hawkinson, again, I know he's injured. I also really like Austin Eckler. I don't care. But Corum's there too if we want to do that.
I like Corum a lot, but I'll let you decide.
Oh, man. Yeah, let's just do the Corum side of this because we already have 3. So Eckler is a great pick there, but I mean, I'd rather take the upside of Corum just being the guy. Plus, I'm a Kyron hater. I know I probably stand on an island there, but Kyron just feels like a guy that lucked into a really good position last year. He's dealing with a foot injury, and man, if they picked Corum for a reason, man, if he really overtakes that, Sean McVay has showed us time and time again that he likes to use his guys. If Corum becomes his guy, that's a massive value for a Sean McVay running back in an offense that uses one guy a ton. So I'm with you there. And again, we have Cooper Kupp. We could potentially take one of these other, let's see, Rams, LAR. What do we got going on down here? So there's still Stafford, Demarcus Robinson. And then the tight end room here is so weird. I like Davis Allen, Jesus. His athleticism is awesome, but they brought in Colby Parkinson and gave him money. Higbee's still there. I know he's injured right now, but the tight end room's a mess. Anything jump out you tight end wise here for the Rams? How are you managing that right now? Is it a stay away?
I have not taken a shot on those late tight ends yet. But I could understand wanting to do it because those are kind of the picks that can differentiate your team. So it's funny. I saw you hovering over Eckler, and with me being a DK guy, I think it makes it easier for me because I do all my Eckler on DK. I do all my Brian Robinson on Underdog. Do you see my point? Same with Pittman. I'd much rather have Pittman on DK. So I feel like I split my exposure between the sites. Right?
Yeah,
if Eckler or Pittman goes off, my
that.
DK teams are going to be good.
Yeah, I can see that. Do you want to take a tight end here? Do you want?
I kind of do because
they took Hawkinson.
No, I'm fine with Dallas Goedert.
Yeah, I mean, me too. That's fine. Plus, we have Barkley, so there's a little bit of correlation there team wise. So let's do that before we get auto picked somebody else.
Yeah.
So okay. So you said about people talking you off some of your guys. Talk me off of Jerome Ford, or are you there with me? Because I have an absurd amount of Jerome Ford right now.
If I were going to talk you off, I would say that similar to Kyron, it was a situation last year, and he simply might not be that good a player. If we actually look at his tape, there's nothing impressive about him. Like if we were just to look at tape, I think there's plenty of guys that go lower than him that are better runners. And so when you're betting on him, you're betting on that usage. And the other thing, so for this format, it's going to be harder, but in our normal Best Ball Mania format, I would say you're also have the potential Chubb returns. He's a stud. And now, you're getting an absolute zero out of that pick. But I have to give you some disclosure. I've been taking a lot of Ford too, with the idea that on my zero running back builds, I'm relying on so many of these guys like Blake Corum, Kendre Miller, Ty Chandler to take over midseason. Well, hopefully Jerome Ford can carry me through week 5 to get there. Now in this format, it's a little different, or we can win an early week with him. But yeah, I guess that would be my little concerns there about Jerome Ford. But for example, I don't think James Conner is that good a back, and he's a great fantasy player. When I watch his tape, right, there's nothing super impressive about him except for maybe his ability to run through contact. James Conner, I think, does a good job there, but he doesn't really have that explosiveness that I would love. And he's a great fantasy footballer. So it kind of sucks. Usage is more important than actual skill here when we're evaluating these running backs.
Yep.
All right. So
we're up in
I
3.
see you start up Stafford.
I did just in case. I mean, at least we have a stack there.
Yeah.
Does Jared Goff excite you? Never mind. Jesus. I don't say it's like, man, he fell so far past ADP. I would have just liked to have taken him by himself. It's fine.
Yeah.
So
are we going for everybody's darling Dontavian if he's on the board?
Man, I don't know. I don't buy into it. There's like four people there that can get
when
the ball
you're making that selection, you're basically betting that Christian Watson isn't going to play.
Pretty much, yeah. Like plus you're betting that Wicks is better than Dobbs, which I'm not sure that he is. We're up now. I don't mind some of these guys down here. Of course, we can take Stafford, but I don't mind Quentin Johnston, Josh Downs. Josh Downs is interesting to me just because of what he plays in that offense. Mooney, do you want a wide receiver or yeah?
Yeah, we should probably go wide receiver. So just choose
who
your
do you
favorite
like?
of the wide receivers.
Ah, shit.
We got 4 seconds. Go Wicks, Downs, Judy, Johnston in my order. But I have a ton of Wicks already, so if you want to go somewhere else, that's fine.
Nope.
We'll have to work on drafting together, Andrew.
I never draft on my computer ever. It's always on the phone. The computer, I feel like, is so unreliable sometimes, especially when you're streaming. It just, between the two, I feel like it's always on like a 2-second delay for me. The phone to me, much better.
If we do another one of these, I'll run the board next time.
Yeah. You drive, please. I do not like taking it on the computer. I love watching people live stream all their drafts and all this, like Peter Overzet, Chip Chasing, all these guys that do this constantly. I have so much respect for that because to me, it just makes it so much harder to be able to do both these. I like doing it from the phone.
Yeah, and I think when you're by yourself, it's a little easier too, right? We're in the middle of conversations and then switch to the pick right away.
So here, I think we have enough time. 5 picks away. We have 2 QBs, both on buy 6. So do buy 6. We're just taking the L, which is completely fine with me. I love that actually. RBs, we got Barkley, Mixon, Jones, Corum, 2 on buy 6 here. Wide receivers, JJ, Waddle, Kupp, and Smith. 3 on buy 6 there. And then we have Brock Bowers, Dallas Goedert. So we're definitely going to need some wide receivers. There's guys here that have upside. Like Downs to me has upside. Corley has upside. Bateman has upside. Polk is interesting as well to me a little bit just because no one knows who's really going to be the one there. That's a shot I don't mind taking, especially in this format. Any thoughts on any of these wide receivers here? Who do you generally like?
I like all the ones you mentioned. I haven't been as high on Corley just because I've heard some scouts say that his route tree was really limited. One that I like as well. Okay. You just go ahead and pick one, and then I'll go ahead and give my breakdowns there as well. But I would say don't be afraid of some Roman Wilson.
Oh, no. I like Roman Wilson too, but what do you think about potentially the Steelers taking Ayuk or Samuel?
Yeah, that could
smoke,
happen, right? I think it's smoke personally, but yeah, let's grab Downs right now.
I no, I'm with you. I like Wilson. Once you confirmed in my head that I think it's smoke too, but I've seen a lot of it, going around Twitter right now as people are like, that
I think a lot of people follow multiple sports and they think this is the NBA where you can just add a guy and it just helps your team right away. Because in basketball, right, if you go out and you play pickup, you've seen I can get a chemistry with you maybe in a game or two. Football is not that way at all, and there's a reason we don't see as many blockbuster trades in football, especially midseason, because we're running more than 3 or 4 plays. It's not just like, pick and roll, a double drag screen, right? I mean, these are complex playbooks. So I just don't think that you get the same return on investment when you're trying to add these players mid-season unless it's like a corner or a running back or someone that's like essentially scheme proof, like a corner. Hey, go cover that guy. Okay, I can do that, right? I don't need to know what the linebacker's doing if I'm playing man coverage. Running back, hit the hole. Okay, I could do that because right. It doesn't. I don't need to know what everybody's doing to do that. I want to tell you one of the reasons I like Roman Wilson. One of my favorite late round picks is Justin Fields. And it's with the idea, how many times have we fallen in love with these late round guys that do absolutely nothing for us? We talked about the Panthers guy last year. He's not even getting drafted now. And you guys
Mingo,
spaced on his name, and now I've spaced on his name too.
Yeah, Mingo, Jonathan Mingo.
Jonathan Mingo, right?
Yep.
So I'd rather take the late round flyer on Justin Fields, and then now I also have a little bit of correlation, potentially. Although, to be fair, I will draft Justin Fields by himself in the last round or two with the idea that if he gets there, it's because of rushing.
Is
but
he
I think
Taysom Hill with, I don't want to call him light because I think they're around the same size, but does he remind you of Taysom Hill or what he could play for the Steelers if they really just run Russell Wilson out there all year long?
I have no idea because we've never seen Tomlin in a situation like this, right?
That's true.
All right, we're up. Next pick. What are we going for here? I would take Polk, personally.
I'm fine with that as well. I really wanted Wright to pair with all of our Miami stuff, but he had just went.
Yeah.
I'm fine with Polk here. Yeah, so we can do that. Let's see.
We already have two quarterbacks, so the Denver backstack, that's where I like Mims and Franklin. When I got sniped on my quarterback, right? And now I need to try and recreate a stack here in the late rounds. That's where Mims and Franklin really bounce out to me. And technically Polk too, right? Because he was the first wide receiver who went from New England, and we can go Drake May.
Do you want a third QB in this build, or are you fine with just taking just these two guys?
If we do a third QB, I'd want it to be Daniel Jones or Justin Fields. It's got to be a guy with rushing upside.
Yep,
that could have 150 yards rushing and let us win 1 week while being garbage the whole rest of the time. Derek Carr's someone I love in the full setting because I think he's a little bit undervalued for where he's going. But in this one, in weekly winners, I don't really see him. I think he's going to be a constant 275 to 325 yards, 1 to 2 touchdowns, right? I can't see Carr ever really spiking like that, like Jones and Fields have the potential to do. Now, I see you start up Rashad Bateman. He's kind of
Bateman. I don't know why. I really like Bateman just because of the offense. And outside of Zay Flowers, I'm not sure what they're going to do behind that. Obviously there's Mark Andrews, but I just think that he's still, as a first round pick and a guy that they keep saying that they really love. I can't tell if it's smoke or not, but wide receiver 76 is a good value. I feel like on a guy that could potentially be a good, in a really good offense. So I just have him there because I always tend to pick him, but there's guys down here that I like as well, especially some of these running backs. Roshan, Damian Pierce, love both them. Chuba's interesting. Any thoughts here?
So I agree with you on Bateman. Looks like he just got picked though. So where do we want to go? We're pretty even. So we don't need a position.
I think the running backs dry up more. Do you want Hubbard, Roshan, or Pierce?
Hubbard.
Yeah. There we go. See, we're navigating better now.
We got it. Okay. So now, now that we've got that out there, let me tell you why. This is the weekly winners format. And I'm hoping, what's Hubbard, our 5th running back? So we're not relying on him a lot, but we know that Brooks probably won't be there till week 4 or 5. Maybe Hubbard can propel us to a win in weeks 1 through 4. Whereas in the full season format, I'm kind of shying away from Hubbard just with the idea that he's probably going to lose his job around week 5.
Yeah, I imagine so.
We don't know, but
Brooks is somebody I like taking in BBM just because of I'm worrying about later in the year when I need points like that. Yeah, so I totally agree with you.
And when you're looking at playoffs, that makes Brooks so much more palatable because all you have to do is get to week 14, and then you get 3 good weeks out of him. Yeah. We saw how Canales likes to rely on one running back, similar to McVay, right? Like he did with Rachaad White last year. And you know who's everyone's favorite? And I talk about just looking at the tape that I don't see the tape is Bucky Irving. Like his tape is not that impressive. To me, I mean, he's just a big guy that breaks tackles. I just don't see him being able to supplant Rachaad White like everybody else does.
Yep.
And I'm not even big on Rachaad White either. He's another usage guy that I don't think is that good.
So we got 3 picks left, 16, 17, 18. We currently have 2, 5, 6, 2. How do you want to finish this out? I'm actually fine if you want to do this. Take Fields.
I do.
You just bring up a good point about if this dude has his rushing ability, brought forth. It's really nice to have that in a week. So I don't mind kind of doing that. But then how do you want to fill it out? I don't think we need a tight end because none of these guys down here are going to put up massive weeks. Besides Sanders, that's the only one that I could be talked into, really. Outside of that, I don't think any of them. So I'd rather fill it out with a running back and a wide receiver personally. But what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree with you. With the amount of capital we spent on tight end, and when you go things like Bowers, Goddard, I think you've kind of boxed yourself into a 2 tight end build.
Yeah.
Since we're going 3 quarterbacks, yeah. So I'd like to do Fields here. Is DeMarcus Robinson?
Jesus.
Did he get drafted?
Fields just got sniped before us. Lord Jesus.
Okay, and that's fair enough. If we grab the Daniel Jones, we'll do that last round because I don't necessarily love him.
Yeah. So do you want to take one of these wide receivers? Do you like any of these guys I start up?
Yeah, but I think we should wait on all of them. All right, 10 seconds though.
Yeah, so we don't have a whole lot of options here. I mean, honestly, like I kind of like grabbing you. You never know what's going to happen. Plus, we have the Miami correlation here. If Waddle goes down, OBJ, as long as he's on the field and
if this was best ball, I would have pounded the table against Odell. But since all we need is the 1 week for him, yeah. And one thing I think is interesting when people are talking about Odell. Is there a chance that he starts complaining when he doesn't get touches and that they just
100%
give him more targets? Right? 100%. Because if Jalen Tolbert complains, they'll cut him. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, Odell, they're going to listen to him. He's got the cachet. He has the respect of his teammates. I think that was a good pick there.
Yeah.
I'm disappointed we didn't get Fields in this format, though, because I think
know
this format
right before
is
us
built for Justin Fields.
Yeah. So any of these wide receivers left that you like that you want to take, either the ones I have, or I can go down the board here a little bit for you so you can see.
The number one for me that you have start up is Javon Baker. There's been people that think that his college tape was actually better than Jalen Pokes. And the fact that we could be getting a potential number 1 this late, I'm fine with it.
Okay. Yeah, Hyatt, like the reason I have some of these guys start up, Hyatt is just, it's an unknown there with the Giants. I know they have neighbors, but unknown after that. Hyatt has at least seen on the field as impressive. So I don't mind that. Again,
I don't mind Hyatt either, especially in this format.
Yeah.
Where he probably has more spike week potential than Baker. Why don't we go Hyatt? If they're both there. Yeah.
Yeah. Brendan
Maybe
Rice,
Baker is better for the full 17-week season.
Yeah.
Because I think Baker will be more consistent. And then someone took Jones, right? But, yeah. I was just saying, I do like the late potential there.
So if we want to go with a QB, I know we talked about it slightly, but do you have any interest in taking the off chance of Taysom Hill?
I mean, if we're taking a stab here, I would take Penix, Minshew, or AOC over Taysom Hill.
Oh man, that sounds so gross to even talk like that. I mean, we don't have to take a QB. We can go with, Sanders is there. I know Meg's big into Sanders. I don't mind that either, just because I think out of anybody here, he has the most potential.
Yeah, I think so. Right when we're talking about who's got a better chance to spike us into the winning, Jalen McMillan or Jatavion Sanders. I would go with Sanders just with the idea that he could be. First of all, that Laporta thing, I think was I don't think we'll see anything like that for the next 5 years.
No.
But if he was even, like a Goddard or a Dalton Schultz or that level, I think we're getting the best value for our pick there.
Yeah, I'm not even sure like what else we would do here. I mean, there's some guys that if there's injuries to them, they could be awesome. Like Elijah Mitchell, Keaton Mitchell, those guys could both be really good if there's an injury in front of them. Same thing with
Mhm.
CEH if we take any of that route, but we don't have to. I mean, with what we have.
Yeah, I don't mind some Elijah Mitchell either. The problem I get, and I've been splitting, is with the pick of Garendo, or however you pronounce his name, is that them basically
Mhm.
saying, like, we don't think Mitchell is that good?
I don't know. I mean, hasn't Kyle Shanahan always just drafted running backs? I mean, they drafted Tyrion Davis Price a few years back, and he did nothing.
Yeah, yeah. And Trey Sermon, who now I was reading is potential to be the number 2 there after we've all thought that Evan Hall was the 18th round darling that we needed to target.
Yeah, it just so I have no idea. The 49ers backfield past CMC is just true mystery. So I like taking shots on Elijah Mitchell. Just he knows the system. I feel like he'll have the first crack at it. Does he hold on to the job if CMC gets hurt? Is kind of the thought process. But
That's the great thing about this format, though, right? We just need 1 week where he hits 2 touchdowns and 100 yards, or 2 touchdowns and
yeah,
eight receptions. Let's go with
so
Mitchell.
I'm cool if
We're swinging for the
yeah, say it.
fences.
All right. Let's see what
I mean,
happens here.
if
We got
he
3
gets
picks to our
sniped,
turn.
I wouldn't mind a Sanders.
All right, so we'll do that, and then do you like this how it is now, or the case for Brendan Rice? I
I'm
don't know if you
kind of
drafted
taking.
him
I've
yet.
been taking Tolbert earlier. I'm kind of taking him off.
Yeah,
I just.
Brendan Rice I've taken some of just because again, besides Josh Palmer, which Josh Palmer's a good wide receiver, but not a great one. They don't really have anybody that's like fantastic. Quentin Johnston was whatever last year. Brendan Rice is at least interesting to me. That's a guy that falls into that like Polk, Javon Baker category of like could be the one potentially in an offense. You never know.
Yeah, and I think that we might be looking at a Jalen Rager situation with Quentin Johnston. Just a prospect that just is not very good. And of course, I'm not a scout. I just listen to the scouts and read all the reports. But his inability to get separation year 1 was really a concern. If he's going to have to make contested catches every single time, I don't see them. The other thing is, I mean, Harbaugh is the closest thing we have to 1980s football. He's going to go ahead and run the ball. And that's why at the beginning I kept going, oh, Justin Herbert. How are we getting, a top 5 quarterback in real life this late? And the more I've looked into how the 49ers perform fantasy-wise, other than Kaepernick's rushing, it was all running backs that you wanted from Harbaugh's time coaching the 49ers. So I've kind of switched away from these Chargers receivers, and I'm looking more at just trying to get equal shares of Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins. And I know that Dobbins click is so tough, but I think he's got the potential to really, if he stays healthy, he's clearly the number 1. He was good when he's healthy, and Harbaugh's going to give him the opportunity. So I've been kind of staying away from the Chargers receivers, just looking into how wide receivers perform fantasy-wise under Harbaugh before, and it just simply didn't seem like the opportunity was there.
Yeah.
All right. You want to review our team real quick? We overdrafted some quarterbacks, but I like the rest of what we did.
Yeah, we are heavy on the old Tua here, so we'll see what happens, but you never know. So we have 2-6-8-2 QBs, Tua and Stafford, both by week 6. So we went really heavy on the by week 6 here. Running backs, Saquon Barkley, Joe Mixon, Aaron Jones, Blake Corum, Chuba Hubbard, Elijah Mitchell. We got 2 dudes on 6. Everyone else is, by themselves on buys. Wide receivers, Justin Jefferson, Jalen Waddle, Cooper Kupp, JSN, Roman Wilson, Jalen Polk, OBJ, and Jalen Hyatt. Again, 4 guys on bye week 6 there. Then Brock Bowers and Dallas Goedert. So overall, I mean, we got 4+ people on bye week 6. Everyone else we have 2 of. So we didn't really pigeonhole ourselves outside of the bye week 6, which is really nice to have. Definitely got some stacks in here. I mean, what's your initial thought here?
Yeah, I like our team. Obviously, we overdrafted the quarterbacks a bit. If this was a BBM format, I'd be a little worried. But since all we need is that 1 good week, Andrew, I think we're going to be okay. And when I'm looking at these running backs, Joe Mixon and Aaron Jones are two guys that I'm thinking I'm only going to want in this format here. I have worries about their durability. And I just don't know if they're going to be around for me in week 14. But doesn't Aaron Jones seem like, we talked about spike week, doesn't he seem like the spike week running back? You get the rookie quarterback out there, especially his first start, potentially week 3 or week 4. And what are they going to do? They're going to run the ball and they're going to dump the ball off. So while Aaron Jones is not someone that I'm excited about in BBM, and I've actually been passing over his name a lot in this format, I absolutely love him here. I feel like our weakness is going to be at wide receiver. So we're going to need JJ McCarthy to be pretty good and really feed Justin Jefferson there. But overall, I like it. I also like on tight end how we have the floor play with Goddard, in my opinion, right? Where if Jefferson and these guys do go off and Bowers ends up being a complete zero, Goddard should be able to get us enough points to where we can still pull that victory off. But we've got that high ceiling in Bowers because at where he was drafted, I don't think anyone else has a higher ceiling. I mean, like I said, this guy could end up being like Kelsey or Laporta and be one of the top 3 to 4 tight ends. And we got him at pick 102. So I'm really happy about this overall. And I feel like I learned a lot just talking this through you. I feel like now I can do some drafts on my own. And I'm really in the mindset of spike week. Right? Really in the mindset of like, hey, I don't need these guys to be durable. Like Aaron Jones, I just don't think he's durable. That's why I'm really shying away from him at his ADP because I'm thinking, boy, I can get Ty Chandler, in the 140s. He might be the guy in the playoffs anyways if Aaron Jones is not durable. But for here, I'm loving having this Aaron Jones because I think that, he's got that spike potential. I think that Aaron Jones' highest week is going to be more points than Ty Chandler's highest week, even though Ty Chandler might be better overall. So this is a great fun. Do you have any other final tips for the difference between weekly winners and Best Ball Mania? Although I think the way that we drafted really illustrated a lot of our different thinking in approaching this tournament.
Yeah, I mean, I think we hit it at the top. Again, just it's all about upside. You have no care in the world about how the entire season go. It's all week to week. So definitely upside, draft like you're right. Look for if you want to take the strategy of a bunch of bye weeks, a bunch of players on the same bye week. If you want to, kind of spread it out a little bit, however you want to do that, make sure you definitely lean into it. But no, outside of that, I mean, you can definitely find a bunch of stuff online. But what I talked about, you're probably going to read a majority of that. Let's just look at the 2 teams that I know are in here with us really quick. So Team Ramrod was in the 2 spot. He went 3-5-8-2, took Josh Allen, Deshaun Watson, and Aaron Rodgers. Running backs are Kyron Williams, David Montgomery, Raheem Mostert, Austin Eckler, and Jaleel McLaughlin. Let's see. Is there any correlate? So no team stacks there with the running backs, which I'm fine with, without the QBs.
Because I think the reason you want to stack running back and quarterback is the ping pong, and ping pong doesn't matter here.
Right. Correct.
Right. I mean, that's one of the reasons I like Hill A-Chain start. Hopefully they ping pong me into the week 14 playoffs, right? Oh, Hill has a down week. A-Chain got me 3 touchdowns, right? And now I ping pong by winning every single week. I don't see any reason to correlate unless you have a really heavy pass catching back.
Yeah, or if a guy that like again, we took Corum, which if Corum becomes the guy, Sean McVay has already showed us that he's going to use him a fuck ton, right? Like he does that with Kyron Williams now, and if Williams gets out of the way, Blake Corum's going to have that. So there's the scenario based for doing that. Wide receivers: Tyreek Hill, Amari Cooper, Michael Pittman, Cortland Sutton, Brandon Cooks, Don Tavadian Wicks, Adam Thielen, Tyler Boyd, David Njoku, and Chig. So he does have some stacks here. So he has Deshaun Watson, and then he took Cooper and Njoku. So we got that. Rodgers, let's see, does he have anybody there? I don't think he has anybody there. But I do know that I think we messed up his team with the Miami stacks that he has by taking to a billion picks ahead of time. So sorry about that, home slice. Overall, though, I mean, his weekly average is pretty good. 199. That's not bad to see there. Again, again, nobody can tell anybody that they're right or wrong in this format because we have no true data on it, besides 1 year. But 3 quarterbacks feels aggressive in this manner because only one is going to get you there, and you don't care about the season long aspect of it. You just want one. So I think I'd rather go 1 QB over 3. But with that said, I mean, his team overall is pretty decent. What are your thoughts here?
Yeah, good point on the 3 QBs. This is another one. I think I'm gonna have a lot of fun with this format because you guys have known from chatting with me. I'm skeptical of Rodgers' ability to stay healthy, but here he could be awesome in those first 4 weeks, and he gets knocked out week 5, and you don't care. If you want to scroll down a little bit, he took a lot of my favorite. From chatting with me that I'm big on Jaleel McLaughlin. Well, looking at the tape, to me, he's just better than this current version of Javonte Williams. I don't know. Hopefully Javonte, well, not hopefully for me, but just for him, that ACL gets better. But he seems to have lost some of that burst, which is why I think McLaughlin could end up being the guy there. And then he took, all of these guys that I love in the later rounds. I've been big on Cortland Sutton. We talked about it when we took Jalen Pope, even though we might not be as high on the offense. Seems to be like you're getting a number 1 receiver at pick 98. That's pretty good. Brandon Cooks is someone who disappointed us last year. But when you're talking about the reason that CeeDee Lamb is number 2 or number 1 on certain people's, it's because of the target expectation. Those same arguments can be made for Jake Ferguson and conversely Brandon Cooks, where if they decide to double or triple CeeDee, it's going to open things up there. And Dontavian Wicks, I guess maybe I bet on – maybe I'm too much of a Twitter doctor, Andrew. But I don't know if Christian Watson's going to be able to stay healthy. And it just feels to me that the reason the Wicks is flying up these draft boards, I'd say he's probably had the highest rise in ADP, maybe since we started the post-draft drafting. And I think it's because from what I've read on the scouts and talked to Steve, he has the most complete route tree. Of all the players, right? Where Watson and Dubes are more downfield guys, and then who's the third one over there? You got Watson, Dubes, Wicks. Who's the fourth?
Reed,
Jaden Reed,
Watson,
who I think is a great
Reed.
player, but he's going so high. So I love that pick of Wicks here. I think he did a great job, and to me, it feels like he's making a big bet on Njoku there for tight end. I don't know if I'm willing to make that bet. My concern about Njoku and why I was surprised that Bowers is going behind him is he didn't look very good with Watson. And I don't remember Watson feeding his tight end a lot at Houston either. So that's my concern there. The talent is there, however. So he made a big bet there with Njoku, and we'll see if it pays off.
Yeah. Overall, not a bad team though. He followed a decent amount of the strategy here. Let's go to the last one here real quick.
I think I agree with you though. When you grab Josh Allen, I don't think you need 3 quarterbacks.
No, because how many times is Aaron Rodgers going to really outscore Josh Allen? Aaron Rodgers isn't running the ball anywhere. Josh Allen can potentially run the ball all the time if he wants to. So yeah, I'm definitely a big.
In fact, if you have QB. Allen, I think you could do that 1 quick QB you talked about earlier, and just try to load up on these speculative players.
Yep, definitely. So King of QC also went 3-5-8-2. He has Jaden Daniels, Caleb Williams, Geno Smith. Again, like I would have stopped with these two personally. Geno's not going to run the ball very much. He could have some decent weeks, but you're really just banking on these two performing well. Running backs.
So see, I disagree there. I like having Geno there because first of all, we got 2 rookie quarterbacks, so we have no idea what we're going to get there. And of all the players, I think that Geno is way too low, and maybe I'm factoring in the new offensive coordinator too much. But I think they're going to be chucking the ball around the field. So, I know there's also concern, talk about players we have concerns about. And Meg and I have argued about this, but, I will kind of concede that Jaden Daniels does have some injury concerns. And I would hate to be stuck with just Caleb all year round because I don't think he's going to run enough to get you there. I actually like how he did the QB room, especially because he didn't start till pick 87. To invest. So as we continue to look at the rest of his team, he's got some studs to go with these guys.
Yeah, I think, again, like I like to draft like you're right in here. So you're banking on one of these two rookies having a fantastic season, a CJ Stroud season or something of that nature. So I
Yeah.
personally would have stopped with the two, but because again, like I'd rather just lose the $10 betting on these two than have it where Gino's getting me middled 3 weeks
But at
of,
pick 183, what was his opportunity cost?
I mean, that's true.
Like
I mean,
Wandale
obviously,
Robinson.
yeah, definitely. It's not about the value there. I'm just looking at it like how many weeks is Gino truly going to pass for 3 or 4 touchdowns? Because I think that they have 2 good running backs there, Charbonnet
That's
and
a great point. Yeah.
Walker. So, but again, new regime there in Seattle.
I
So
just think he has
who
some of the
knows?
highest upside because of the new coordinator and the fact that it looks like that philosophy is going to switch. I
Yeah.
think they're going to be so much more aggressive, which is why I'm so high in JSN. I think he really came on at the end of the year last year, and now we switched to a pass happy offense. He could be a guy going in the second round next year.
So then King of QC also went running backs: Bijan, Devon Achan, Brian Robinson, Ty Chandler, Ray Davis. I like this room a lot. These two,
I mean,
Robinson and
yeah.
Achan, that's big time boom potential right there. B
Mm-hmm.
Rob, if he's more of a guy than Eckler, I think it's fine. But as you alluded to, he's probably a little bit of a safer pick here on the underdog formatting. Ty Chandler, again, you said it. Aaron Jones can't stay healthy a whole lot. Ty Chandler might be a really good pick. And then Ray Davis, Buffalo has always told us that they wanted a running back that can run at the goal line. That
Mm-hmm.
isn't Josh Allen. They have yet to
And this
find
is
it.
weekly winners.
Yeah. I mean, if Ray Davis
5 yards,
becomes
2
that,
touchdowns, and he's in your lineup.
yep. So I really like this a lot. This running back room feels really nice.
Yeah.
Wide receivers: DJ Moore, DK Metcalf, Xavier Worthy, DeAndre Hopkins, Tyler Lockett, Jahan Dotson, DJ Chark, Darius Slayton. Love these top 6. Hate these bottom 2. I will have zero exposure to any of these guys in any format. Just I don't know. To me, they feel like Darius Slayton. I'd rather have the Hyatts, the Wandale Robinsons, obviously neighbors. Chark, I know I said that nobody really has the one hold besides Palmer there, but I still rather take Quentin Johnston, or Rice, any of those guys. DJ Chark was awesome for 2 years, but I don't know. To me, that just feels like a wasted pick. I'd rather have some more upside there potentially. But I love these wide receivers. All these guys
The
feel
only
really
thing
good.
I would say is at 202, what upside was really on the board that he
Yeah, I mean,
passed
like
up on,
Malik
right?
Washington might have still been there. I'd rather take that upside
Yeah.
over
Okay.
Chark.
That's fair enough. I don't mind Chark. We talked about that with wide receiver room being wide open. And let's just say that Lad McConkey is Quentin Johnston 2.0. All right. He's just a rookie that just isn't cut out for the NFL. He could be sitting pretty there. I love his other receivers. You already heard me. I talked about how much I like Seattle. Now that Geno pick looks to me even better. The fact that they're correlated. Xavier Worthy, talk about a weekly winner's darling. I don't think he's going to be consistent, but I think Mahomes is going to spread it around, and there's going to be weeks that he's there. DeAndre Hopkins is another weekly winner's boom or bust, right? Now, I've seen a lot of scouts that actually chart, the separation and stuff. Hopkins got a lot of separation last year. He just wasn't, they just didn't get him the ball. So making that pick, you're betting on Will Levis. I don't know if I'm ready to do that, but I have had some backdoor Titan stacks. And DJ Moore, where he got him at pick 34, I think it's fine. But boy, I really worry about Caleb this year, and I've been staying away from DJ Moore. What are your thoughts on DJ Moore, Andrew? Do I need to put some more of him in my portfolio? I've been passing him over. I've taken DK over DJ Moore a lot.
I agree. I'd take Metcalf over Moore. Just opportunity based. I mean, DJ Moore has 2 guys around him that with a new QB, any of them can see targets. In Seattle, Metcalf commands the targets over anybody else. And also, I have to check the stats for last year, but before last year, so in 2022, DK Metcalf led all wide receivers in red zone targets. In this format, you want touchdowns. To me, that puts him ahead of DJ Moore 100%. Now, with that said, I'm a Washington fan. If anybody watched the game last year, DJ Moore made me eat crow for 4 quarters. So
Right.
I I don't want to say that DJ Moore doesn't have the opportunity, but they added somebody there in a Dunze as well and Keenan Allen. So
I just think
100%.
that DJ Moore and Keenan Allen could end the season right around the same.
Yeah.
I'd rather take the shot at Keenan Allen one round later.
Agreed.
Now you're a Washington fan. A guy that burned me last year is on this team here. Jahan Dotson, your thoughts?
So I'm also a Penn State fan. So I've watched a ton of Dotson. Yeah, watched a ton of Dotson.
I know. I loved him last year, and I'm still taking a lot of him this year.
Yeah, this year it's even better because you're getting him at a better cost. He's still the number 2 on the team. There's nobody who's going to really, I think, command more targets than McLaurin and Dotson. So I still like taking him. He's even better pricing this year. I feel like you're getting him at a little bit of a discount. The really nice thing about Dotson is they show that they can use him in the red zone. I like that a ton because he's a very sure-handed wide receiver. He always has been. So I actually like Dotson even more this year than I did last year due to opportunity cost and who goes around him. There's one guy that goes around him I'd rather pick more, and that's Brandon Cooks, just because of what the offense can do upside-wise. But I like Dotson a lot this year.
Yeah, and I think that in this format, I think Dotson becomes a little more attractive compared to Cooks. Because I do think that he has probably a little more spike potential, but I do think the Cooks will finish with more fantasy points. Just unless Jaden Daniels is the second coming of Lamar Jackson, right? It just feels like Dallas's offense is going to probably score 100 more points per game or for the season.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised. So I do like the idea that you're buying into the good offense, but boy, at that spot. And now Mark Andrews is another one that I get concerned about health, especially with older players. But in weekly winners, feels pretty good here. Feels pretty good. And Jawan Johnson is another one who I think is a little low on the board for how he finished up and how I do know that Derek Carr likes to use the tight end.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's like both these guys feel like touchdown upside, low yardage guys. Like Andrews could be a guy that they just target 2 or 3 times in a week in the red zone. Same thing with Jawan Johnson. I feel like this is a really good format for that. You don't care about yardage so much for tight ends. You just want somebody who's going to get you potentially 2 touchdowns in a week. I feel like both these guys have the upside to do so. So I agree. The tight end room is, feels like some good upside for him.
Yeah. So this is a lot of fun, Andrew. I can't wait to take what I've learned from talking with you today and kind of apply this. Boy, a little stress-free, not having to worry about the bye week so much, Andrew. I don't know how many times, I talked about wanting to stack up Lamar and Jaden Daniels, but you push yourself. I mean, you could take the 0, but you're forcing yourself into that third QB because I don't want to take the 0 quarterback in Best Ball Mania. Boy, the opportunity to just grab Lamar and Jaden and call it a day is a lot of fun because I could have the second coming of Lamar. I have the second. I know that you guys are a little skeptical of him, and I understand wanting Drake May too because he's got that great prospect profile, especially being an older guy like me that we love, the big guy with the strong arm that can sit in the pocket. But boy, I do think that Jaden Daniels has a great chance to really be the breakout of this draft here. And with as good as he was at LSU, that's going against NFL level defenses already. He's got to be pretty happy having Jaden Daniels on that team.
Yeah, and you said it right. You're hoping that you're grabbing the second coming of Lamar. I'm just hoping that I'm not going to watch the second coming of RG3, where this dude's getting hurt left and right. So that's the concern. But again, in fantasy and these formats, it doesn't matter. Take those guys because the rushing upside is bar to none when you're talking about QBs. Also, I know that we put it in our group chat, but if nobody has seen yet, Underdog has released the first Super Flex League or Super Flex contest this year, which is somewhere down here. Oh, right here.
Andrew, I don't know if I'm ready yet. My mind is so focused on this current format. Let's give him a quick little preview. Maybe we'll do a Super Flex show later, all about the Super Flex. But boy, I told you. Cool.
Here's
one of the things I'm worried about is feels like you need a top pick. I don't know if I want to pick. You're talking about being 10 to 12. That seems like it could be terrible in this format. I want a top 4 pick. I want Allen. I want Jackson. I want AR.
This was my team. This was my team earlier. I did one just to see what the ADPs look like. So
and what
right
did
now,
you start at 7?
7. So I took CJ Stroud first. But look at the ADPs. This is going to change completely completely. 98 ADP for Kirk Cousins. I picked him 42, and I'll show you the board. These quarterbacks are going to fly off the board massively quick. Last year, I did a couple of these super flexes. The first 3 rounds is where almost 90% of the quarterbacks are going to go. So just keep that in mind. If you're going in now, the ADPs are not what's going to happen, and I'll show you the board too. But so I took these 4 quarterbacks just because of how everything was flying off the board. Here's the running back. So Bijan's ADP was 11. I got him 18. Montgomery, 85. I got him 103. So again, these are all going to change. Take your guys right now. Don't worry about ADP because it's going to change massively. Wide receivers, took a bunch of guys. Look, Roman Wilson. I told you I like Roman Wilson. It scares me that they may take a guy out there, but
yeah, I think that's a little bit of NBA, and also it's slow time for NFL content creators, right? I mean, unless you're into best ball like we are, there's not really a lot going on. Like from a betting perspective, for my betting, I'm still on vacation, Andrew. And we're going to dive in and starting in July, Meg, Tyler, and I will be in there going over our division winners, our season-long bets, props, right? Like maybe we want to go over for AJ Brown yardage as those start to get posted. But I'm still on vacation as an NFL bettor. So I think it's kind of tough to create some of this content. And my final thing is, and same thing with T. Higgins. These teams have a chance to win right now. Why? I mean, go all in right now. Look at what the Rams did. Do you think they would rather make the conference championship 4 years in a row and lose, or go all in and have that one Super Bowl? Most fan bases and most front offices want that Super Bowl. I don't see. It's really got to be wild for them to give up on that. And the other thing about Debo is, what if he gets traded to a team that doesn't know how to use him? Like, let's just say New England traded for him, right? Is he really going to do that good there, right? You have to be able to use him as well as to make the trade for him. I just don't see it happening. So let's go over. This is exactly what I talked about. Although, to be fair, Andrew, if I'm doing my rankings here, I got Lamar Jackson number 2. And the reason I'm putting him at number 2 is I think Derrick Henry is going to command so much attention from the linebackers and the run-stopping safeties when you're going up against Baltimore. I think that opens things up for Lamar. And we talked about Hurts earlier. If Saquon's getting those touchdowns like you and I both think, now Hurts is, especially an underdog, it goes down a little bit. I'm surprised to see Mahomes go ahead of Richardson, but I do expect him to bounce back as well here. What are your takeaways looking at this board? Christian McCaffrey going 5 looks crazy to me.
It's awesome. And again, like I said, I did a bunch of these last year. So what you see now with all this green and orange here in a couple days, however long the Superflex stays around for this one, you're going to see these guys all drop. These quarterbacks are all going to go in here. Every single one of them, they're going to be gone in the first 4 rounds. I mean, look down through here. Look. So in round 7, we're talking Drake May, Derek Carr, Bryce Young, JJ McCarthy. Like it is the wild, wild west right now. So go take your guys if you're going to do this right now. Like,
where's Fields going? Out of curiosity.
Let's see. So there's Russell Wilson. Oh, Fields went 3 picks after him. 93 overall.
Okay.
This is crazy. When I was in here, I was just astonished because when you go look at the actual ADP, and you can go see the ADPs right now. Actually, here I can probably pull them up too. Then, but it's just the ADPs are so crazy. Like Jaden Daniels was way down the board. He was picked at 19. Like
Tua going behind Herbert is crazy to me.
Yeah, it's just so funny, like to see some of this stuff. And then when you go down here, so you got Rodgers, Levis in round 6, just. It's absurd. It was fun, but it is crazy.
Yeah. All right, boy. Now you're getting me. I was scared because I'm like, my mind is so focused here. I feel like I'm just getting my 0 RB strategies down. I wanted to try and build more elite tight end builds, and I was listening. I can't remember the guy's names. The problem, Andrew, is I don't know if you're like me. I listen to so much content. I can't give the guys credit. But I think they were English guys from the accent. And he said, you got to be comfortable with being uncomfortable, right? And let these quarterbacks drop. And I feel like I just have developed this skill. I don't want to go away from it right away.
Yeah. You can see down here about by round 10, Gardner went. That's when the QB thing really kind of slowed down, and then you can go get all your guys here. I mean,
Mhm.
it was just it's nuts.
Yeah, well, this is gonna be a lot of fun, and at only $5, we're gonna have to take a couple shots.
Yeah, for
But
sure. It was
after today's
definitely a lot of
show,
fun.
Andrew, I'm probably going straight into weekly winners for probably at least the rest of the week, and as well as I've been having fun with the marathon format because I like. We talked about it earlier, but I like being able to throw the playoff correlations out the window. And not just base all my drafting on week 16 and week 17. So that's one of the
Yeah.
reasons I've been enjoying the marathon format.
Yeah. And here, if you just want to take a quick look, so like here's what the ADPs look like. And as
Mhm.
you saw, like all these guys were getting taken well above here. I mean, Jane Daniels was at 19; he's 43. So
Yeah.
just food for thought. If anybody's going in to do these, just whoever you want, just take him at QB now. Don't mind the ADP because all this is going to rise tremendously.
Two things that stick out to me. I would move Kyler up a little bit, just from a fantasy perspective. And I actually like Jaden more than Caleb from a fantasy perspective as well because of the rushing upside.
Yep. Yeah, definitely. I mean, yeah, it was just fun to watch all these guys start going off, and I'm like, I better just take these
Yeah.
quarterbacks get buried because you can get buried really quick if you just don't take quarterbacks. You can end up with Derek Carr and Bo Nix and those guys as your
I
QBs.
just think at pick 4, I'm sitting Christian McCaffrey on the board. It's going to be hard
Yeah,
to pass them up, but
but
wow.
yeah, so definitely fun.
All right. Well, we're going
All
to
right.
have to do another one of these soon, Andrew, because I'm going to have to pick your brain on the Eliminator format.
Yes,
I'm pretty
also fun.
excited about getting into that. Just give me one or two strategies so I can do a draft or two before we do a show. One or two Eliminator strategies.
Well, first and foremost, do not drown yourself with bye weeks. If you drown yourself, you're out in a week. You do not want that. So make sure you're evening out your bye weeks because you can quickly get eliminated here if you have too much on a bye week. Secondly, is that's probably more of a consistent basis. You don't want to go too only upside because if you have a guy who flops, you don't want a big upside, low floor because if that low floor hits,
So
you
take
also
Gabe
can get
Davis
out.
off my draft board. Is that what you're telling me, Andrew?
Yeah, I would probably, I'd probably go more Brandon Cooks than Gabe Davis in that
Right?
area. But yeah,
Yeah.
definitely more consistent players, and don't drown yourself in bye weeks.
Cool. Yeah, maybe I'll be looking for some veterans there. Andrew, I wanted to thank you for doing the show. We probably should have done this a little earlier, but the show is brought to you by fanspeak.com. If you sign up on Underdog Fantasy with, I was reading off the bottom, switch it back.
Oh, sorry. Go.
With Fanspeak to claim your special pick and the first time deposit offer, the promo code will be Fanspeak. So, I sent this to a couple of my friends who haven't played yet. Hopefully they can take advantage of it. We've got plenty of articles on Fanspeak, and those have been a lot of fun to continue as Meg and Steve continue to dive in and help you with your strategy. And I don't know about you, Andrew, but I actually retain a little more by reading than listening. So I enjoy the articles a lot at Fanspeak.
I hate reading. That's if anybody knows me, they know I don't read books. My wife it's funny. She's on a book that's 1,000 pages. She's like, I started it last week and I'm on page 800. I'm like, oh God, that just sounds awful to me. I can't. I have ADHD. My mind is going like 18 places. I can't remember what I read. So I listen to a ton of podcasts and watch YouTube. But that's how I get all my. I can't do.
Oh well, then we'll be a great team working together. Justin, watch out. But fanspeak.com has got all that. And the other thing going on Fanspeak right now, Andrew, for just the hardcore fans, the mock draft simulator has been updated for 2025.
Yes.
So one thing that we really rely on Steve a lot here at Fanspeak is his ability to scout these players and how they'll translate to the NFL. So you get to use some of his rankings for the upcoming year. And of course that they'll change, if LSU comes out and does great week 1, we'll move some of those players up, move some of them down as we continue to watch some of these top prospects hit the field there. But of course that is going on fanspeak.com as well. And make sure you're subscribed to this YouTube channel because we have more content coming up. Tomorrow I get to be the black sheep of Fanspeak, Andrew, and draft on the dreaded DK. I know that, for a lot of you guys, right? That's like driving to the bad neighborhood, right? Right. You're leaving You're leaving Beverly Hills and heading over to Compton.
You better tell DK to
trips.
send you hats. Do they send you stuff? Come on.
Well, if Underdog sends me one of those hats, maybe they can put a little GPS unit in it so my location will stop getting rejected. Because I was really frustrated with that this weekend. And they go, use a different browser. And I kind of blew it off, but it worked. And I don't understand how I can draft on Bravo, but not Chrome. But regardless, that's what's coming up tomorrow. My favorite show of the week, Andrew. I don't want to give you too much props. I don't want your head to get too big. But you and Justin have a great rapport. And you get the info out, but you get those jabs and those digs in on each other as well. So the Thursday night show is a lot of fun. Friends of Best Ball with Meg on Friday. And then I think that Meg and Steve will be doing theirs on Thursday as well. So we double dip on Thursday, Friends of Best Ball on Friday. And Friends of Best Ball is great fun as well because Andrew, we talk to each other a lot, right? We're taking each other's takes. We the Friends of Best Ball, that's where we get some of these pushbacks challenged, right? And maybe we can get someone on here to tell me that I've wasted all my money with my now close to 40% Brock Bowers exposure, followed up by that Jaleel McLaughlin exposure, where I'm really taking a stand on these two players. But it's great to get some pushback and get some different ideas because, Andrew, I'm getting a little worried that I'm going to get in here and I'm going to realize I just have 111 iterations of the very same team. So so much going on here at Fanspeak. Any final thoughts you have for everybody?
No, I think you pretty much covered it. Again, we appreciate everybody here. Make sure you like, subscribe, and click on the notifications. Obviously, King of QC does because he's in every draft we do now. So
yeah,
if you don't want to miss out on all the drafts we do,
and King of QC, you're a good drafter. You can go ahead and turn some of those off. Okay, King of QC, we don't need you sniping our players every single time. Let's get one to advance. Jeez, that's the worst part about being on these streams or like drafting with you guys. I know that you're going to take all the best players. I want to be in those midnight drafts, Andrew, where some guy grabs 4 QBs in the first 6 rounds, and I'm like, cool. Now I only have 11 people to deal with.
Yeah. It is nice when you draft at nighttime. Sometimes you get some soft rooms, and I know I don't normally run into a lot of the guys that I tend to draft with. So it is nice to slip in one of those every now and again.
Yeah. So, but we do, joking around, KQC. I love having you here, and we figure you're only making us better by jumping in there and making our draft room sharper.
Yep. All
right. So that's it for us today. I'm going to hound Andrew, and we're going to come back and try and continue some more of these tutorials on the different ones. And I also do have some ideas of different ones where we just kind of hot take it. And I noticed you guys already do that. Like, for example, I loved your RB2 series last week because I could be wrong, but to me, nailing those RB2s is going to be who wins the contest this year. I think everybody's that we're actually worried about. Like I said, I'm not worried about the guy that took 4 QBs in the first 6 rounds. Everybody that we're worried about seems to be going that 0 RB. So you really got to nail those back hack those last 9 round picks and nail those running backs. So I appreciated that content. Andrew, are you guys going to do some fun content before the show on Thursday this week, or are you going to dive straight into the draft?
I think we're going to talk a little bit. We will try to keep it to a smaller minimum. I know we like to talk about an hour before the draft, but some people like to come
which I personally don't mind.
Yeah, I feel like it's good content, like you're saying, when it's good content that you can kind of formulate what you want to do in a draft and then hop in one, it is nice. So I don't mind it either, but I do know some people prefer it to be a little shorter. So we will have some stuff here. I won't peep anything yet, but we'll be talking some stuff as well. Probably some more player takes and whatnot. So everyone make sure you join and then stay for the draft because that's the fun part. Everyone loves drafting.
And me personally, I love player takes. Because that's where we can be right or wrong. And you guys have a fun bet, I believe. What bet did you make last week?
Oh,
it was
man.
A couple players.
So I have CEH, and he has Alexander Madison, who scores more fantasy points, but there's a threshold minimum. I think it's like 10 games played they have to play. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, there's some other ones that we got going on as well. I have to get out the board so I can look at the board bets. But we'll have to be before the season starts. We'll have to put out something that shows all of our board bets. And maybe have some people say who they think's going to win.
Yeah, and I hate to say it, but I'm on the Madison train there.
Oh, geez, we were just becoming friends.
All right, Andrew. On that note, we're going to wrap it up and we'll be back soon. Thank you guys. Remember, head on over to Underdog, use that promo code Fanspeak. Fanspeak.com is where you're going to find those great articles. See you guys soon.